Come on in, everybody. It's time for the Southern Route. So what's the Southern Route all about? Well, it's about Southern stuff. Southern people, Southern music, Southern food, Southern nights, Southern traditions, nostalgia, and so much more. Hey friends, welcome back to the Southern Route. I'm your host, Shannon Courier, here on TNCRadio.LIVE, and I'm excited to come to you this week with some friends of mine, Dillon and Dana Karnowski. We're going to be talking a little bit about being a Gen Xer and what that looked like growing up and what that looked like as a female growing up in that era. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Julie, I've known Julie for 20 plus years. I've known Dana for probably about 10 years, and we do work together. So let's talk a little bit about what you all do at St. Christopher Fund. We all work together at St. Christopher Fund, and we're just going to spend a few minutes on this because that's really not what this show is about. It's more about, you know, who we are as people, not what we do for a job. But I do want to let everybody know who my guests are. So Julie, give us a rundown of what you do at St. Christopher Fund.
Hey, Shannon, I'm so glad to be able to see you and be on here with you today. And what I do at St. Christopher Fund is I am the Health and Wellness Manager. What that means is if it has to do with any programming that is on the preventative side of health, that's me. That would be our Driven to Be Healthy program, our Driving Down Diabetes Prevention program, our Rigs Without Cigs tobacco cessation program. So anything that has to do with getting healthy and staying healthy comes to me. That's my job in a nutshell.
That's all good. Preventative health is always good, and it's always very, very important. Dana, tell us what you do at St. Christopher Fund.
I am the office manager. So basically that means that anything that has to do with the driver's application process or paying of the bills or answering the phone and talking to the drivers, that's me.
So when you call St. Christopher Fund, you hear Dana.
Yes, and even though I sound like I'm 12 years old, I'm not. I'm a Gen Xer.
She's just got that sweet little girl voice. But she's tough. She's tough. Don't let that voice fool you. So I have to share a little bit about how I got to know each of you. Julie and I first met when we worked at church together 20 plus years ago. I didn't even have kids then. And I went to volunteer because I loved working with kids. And I went to volunteer at our Awana program. And Julie and her husband were running the age group that I was volunteering in. And I went on that first night not knowing what to expect. And so I walk into the downstairs fellowship hall, and there's like, 100 kids in there, I think. And it's crazy and it's loud. And they're trying to get them in circles and, get them on their color lines, which I didn't know what any of that meant at the time. And so I'm trying to ask Julie, what do I do? Where do I need to go? I don't know anything about a Awana program. And poor Julie, she was the first night, and you could just see it was overwhelming. And she just stares at me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know that I like this person. She's just not very friendly. And so I left there not sure that I was going to go back.
Who could not love Julie?
Not sure that I was. Yeah, I know it's not Julie, but that's what I thought when I first left there. But needless to say, we became fast friends after that. But Julie's a processor. And see, she processes before she speaks, which is a good trait to have. I typically just say what's on my mind.
Yeah, I try to think before I speak, but even then, sometimes it gets me in trouble. But you love to tell that story. You love to tell how we met. And I'm like, yeah, it just makes me sound like such a word that rhymes with witch that I won't say on the show. And but it was really chaotic. It was like having a bunch of little ants just running around in a fishbowl trying to figure out how to get out. So what it was like down there. And you didn't mention they're kindergarten through second graders. So we're talking 5 to 7 year olds, over 100 of them down there. And, not that many volunteers. And it was a little chaotic at first. And once it gets going, then we're good to go. And, you and I did become good friends afterwards. And you came to work in our Parents Day Out program and working with me. And, I have to tell you about this story about our friend Judy. So when Shannon first came to work with us together in the Parents Day Out program, she was with 2-year-olds. And I'm just telling you, that is not my cup of tea. I love all little kids.
I loved it.
2s are like, whew, those are crazies. Anyway, but you gotta love them all. But this lady named Judy, her name was Judy Bruin, and it was Miss Judy to everyone. And Shannon worked with her, and I really think that she was probably one of the most influential women in my life besides my mom. The years that I worked with her, I always say, and I'm 53 years old. I don't care to tell you, I'm at that point. I'm a Gen Xer. I don't care if you don't like how old I am. This is who I am at this point.
That's right.
No, I'm just kidding. But Judy was just a wonderful mentor kind of woman, and I still say that I want to be like Miss Judy when I grow up, because if you met her, you could just see the joy of the Lord in her and through her, and you never felt like you were well, let me back up. You always felt so important, like she always had time to hear what you were saying and if you were going through something, or she made you feel like you were the only one around that when you had something you wanted to share with her. And I just would love to be that person someday, and I still have so far to go. But she passed away a few years ago, and Shannon and I had the honor of doing the eulogy and actually, would you say creating? Because it wasn't your typical memorial service. We actually had a whole program planned, so to speak, using kids in it, and doing a lot of different things for her in honor of her, because she just meant that much to us.
That was a great honor to be a part of that celebration of life service for her. I have great memories of working with Judy. She always did make you feel so important and so special, and she really listened. And watching her with those 2-year-olds, telling the Easter story, she hit my heart every single time, because it just overwhelmed her every single time she told the resurrection story. And I remember being with her on 9/11. We were in the classroom with those 2-year-olds on 9/11, just trying to hold it together because it was so scary, and waiting for those parents, you having to make those calls for those parents, and of course, parents were calling us, we're coming to get our kid, we're coming to get our kid. And, we're trying not to panic in there. And I remember when all the kids finally left, she and I just broke down in the classroom together. And when she passed, her husband, Jay, of course, he was a good friend too, and has remained a very close friend. And he asked us to do her celebration of life service. And Julie and I had never done anything like that. We didn't know what in the world we were doing, but he wanted us to lead it. He wanted the kids to be involved. So he put together this whole celebration of life program, interpretive movement, kids singing. It really was just a very special day. And, Jay's a character all on his own. After she passed, he came and started greeting the kids at the door every time Parents Day Out was open, Monday through Thursday. And he was known for his T-shirts and the sayings on his T-shirts, and people would buy him T-shirts, because he had probably 50, 60 of them. And I remember when I left there, when I moved back down here to Alabama, he told me that I could have one of his shirts, and he brought about 40 of them over and laid them out on the counter and said, pick which one you want. He didn't say anything other than that, just pick whichever one you want. So I looked through all 40 of them, and I picked the one I want. And I said, this is the one I want. And he's like, well, of course it is. That's my favorite shirt out of all of them that I have. And I said, it is not. He said, I swear. And the shirt says, I may be wrong, but it's highly unlikely. And he did have another one made after I took that one. That tells you who I am. I'm the Gen Xer. I may be wrong, but it's highly unlikely, because we're pretty confident in what we know. So it fit him and it fit me perfectly. So I still have that shirt. It is one of my greatest memories. And good times back then for sure. And Dana, you and I have known each other probably 10 years. We got to know each other actually through a Bible study through some mutual friends.
That's right. And I'm a better person for knowing you now.
Oh gosh, that's too kind, too kind. I know I enjoyed being in those groups and just, being around godly women that were looking to build each other up and encourage each other. And I really needed that at that time. It was just one of those times in my life where I really needed a group of people outside of my everyday group of people. It was just nice to be able to step in somewhere and not have to be in some kind of leadership position, in the church. I got to come in and enjoy getting to know you all. And I know I didn't know you all. I knew you, but we weren't friends like, we didn't do stuff together. And so when you came to work at St. Christopher Fund, you were recommended by a mutual friend. And when your name was brought up, I was like, I knew her. She'd be great. And so it's been so great to get to know you over the last 5 years and work with you and just really come to know your heart and how much you care about people and find out what a special person you truly are.
Well, thank you. I feel the same about you, but sometimes maybe when you describe me as a special person, I think that's just code. That's just code word for she's crazy.
There's nothing wrong with being crazy. Us Gen Xers, we're all a little bit crazy. We're just on the verge. All the best people are crazy. That's what I always say.
Right. Just enough crazy to be dangerous, Dana.
That's right. Us Gen Xers, we're just a little on the dangerous side.
I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid and I looked at my grandma, she sure looked and acted older than I feel now.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
My grandma seemed old both my grandmas seemed old my whole life.
Yeah. We're not old at all.
No, absolutely not.
We get younger every day. What are you talking about?
That's right. It's just a number. Just a number. I still want to go out and have fun and do things and, just and live life. Just take it out and live it to the fullest, so to speak.
I think the older I get, the more, my life is more than half over. I've got stuff to do and I'm running out of time. And we're actually out of time for this segment. So I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about what it means to be a Gen Xer yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We've got good stuff to talk about. We'll be back right here on TNC Radio Live on the Southern Route.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. I am impressed by how many times people are hurt by unkind words that are said not only to their faces sometimes, but very often in social media. People complain to me about things that make them feel so bad about themselves or so ashamed. And I'll ask them, is this true? What was said about you? And very often they'll say no. So I have a rule with them that says, before you own anything, how about try it on? Let's consider it to be like shopping for a prom dress. If it doesn't fit, put it back on the rack. Don't wear it. In fact, to quote the great philosopher Taylor Swift, sometimes when you try some things on, you just have to shake it off. I like the kids to know, try it on. If it doesn't fit, shake it off. Try it on, shake it off. Try it on, shake it off. Don't wear anything that doesn't belong to you. It belongs to somebody else. Let them wear it. But wait a minute. Stop the shaking. What if the criticism fits? In that case, be brave enough to wear it and then change it if it needs changing. And then shake it off again.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on TNCRadio.LIVE.
You're listening to TNCRadio.LIVE. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network Show with Shelley Johnson. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Hey guys, we're back on the Southern Route here on TNCRadio.LIVE. I'm your host, Shannon Courier. I'm here with my friends, Julie Dillon and Dana Karnowski, and we're talking all things Generation X. I guess I should give a definition of Generation X, when that was. That's born between 1965 and 1980. I was born in 1970, so that'll tell you how old I am. I'm like Julie. I'm like, I don't care if you know how old I am anymore because I don't feel like I act 51. So soon to be 52 actually in October. So that's okay to know. We'll share our age, but we won't share our weight.
That is true.
So we talked a little bit about being crazy as Gen Xers. You know, we kind of live on the edge. We like to walk up to the edge and put our toe right on it, right over it, but without going over. You know, we got to test the waters. My mom used to tell me all the time, and my dad too, if my curfew was midnight, they'd pull in actually down at the end of the street and wait till 11:59 before you pull in the driveway, because I was never early. I had to be just, every minute that I could get, I was out there doing something fun.
The same here. Same here.
We want to hear
I don't know
what
if y'all
things you were doing.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's a reason that we didn't, I'm glad we didn't have social media and we didn't have phones and everything wasn't digital back in the day, because, I don't know that I'd want everything. Not that I did anything bad. I mean, I really didn't. But, I mean, who wants all of their, life recorded digitally somewhere that can come back to haunt you or can be used against you later? And that's what kids have today. We didn't have that. We were around in the neighborhood. Nobody knew where we were, what we were doing, and your friends kept all your secrets. You didn't have to worry about it.
Now, you mentioned going out and staying gone all afternoon and stuff. And when we were talking at another time, we were mentioning that we were probably one of the first generations that were considered to be latchkey kids. And I know my parents worked. I came home to an empty house each day. And when I was, I guess from second, third grade on, we would come home and I would run the neighborhood with all the other kids in the neighborhood whose parents worked. And we were either having BB gun wars or riding skateboards or bikes or doing, just hanging out at the creek or whatever it happened to be, running around. I actually lived near a farm. And, it's funny how it comes full circle, huh? Since I live on a farm now. But, we were back in there and tearing up the farmers' hay bales, and jumping off the big things at the top down into the hay and, doing something we probably shouldn't have been doing. And the way that I knew to come home was because my mom would come outside and she'd start calling me and my dog would start howling. I'd never hear my mom, but I'd always hear the dog. And I'm like, oh, time to go home now. And that's just the way it was.
He was calling for his little girl to come home.
That's right. So it was just so different than it is now. I would not have done that with my kids now, because it seems like, you always had to worry about your kids getting kidnapped or something happening to your kids or something. And I'm sure it happened back then too. We just didn't hear about every single thing because we didn't have all the access to the news and social media and stuff like we do now. And in some ways, I think it probably made for a much easier, fun childhood.
I think there's a social media to me has, and I don't want to sound like the old, oh my gosh, there's that old Gen Xer, but it makes us kind of live in fear more than we did growing up. We didn't really fear much,
No, I don't think there was really anything that I was fearful of. Other than my mom, I was afraid of her, but all the other stuff, no, I wasn't afraid. But just thinking back about growing up in the South, just some of the things that I did as as a child, I was a latchkey kid, but just thinking about the summer times too, my parents had to work, and so it was basically like, get outside early in the morning after you got your chores done, and you would just entertain yourself all day long. I didn't have camps and stuff to go to, or, my mom taking me places or entertaining me. It was kind of like, all right, well, here's your day, get going and come home. When I get home, it'll be dinner time. And so, we'd either, we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't run inside to cool off. If you wanted to cool off or get something to drink, you went to the water hose, get yourself a drink,
We had
hose
air.
yourself
I'm
off.
sorry. We did have air. Thank you, Jesus, for that.
And so, just thinking back about a lot of the things that that I did probably, or as a kid, or that my parents expected or allowed me to do, probably might get them in trouble with the Department of Human Services now. Thinking back about, being 8 or 9 years old and walking barefoot across a 4-lane highway to go to the little mini market to buy cigarettes for my grandparents. That was always like a big treat, and I was always willing to go and do it because I could get a piece of bubble gum while I was there. And so I would get my piece of bubble gum and and a pack of Camels and a book of matches and head on back. And no one thought anything about it. That was
Here's
just
little
what you
Dana
agreed.
walking down the road with a big old blowing bubbles and toting her cigarettes.
Pack of cigarettes in your head. I did the same thing. Down the Zippy Mart, get some Laffy Taffy, and it was Raleigh's. Here's, Mom, I'm going to Zippy Mart. And wait a minute, let me give you a 5. And you go down there and get your Raleigh's, and you just put them in your pocket till you got back home and didn't think anything of it. Can't do that today. And it makes me think of two things. So I don't know if y'all ever bought these, but they used to have those candy cigarettes, right? Did y'all ever get those candy cigarettes at the store? They came in a little package that looked like a cigarette box.
Yeah, with the red tips on them.
Yes, they had the red tips on them, so here we were. Because, back in the day, everybody smoked back then. So nobody really thought anything of it. So, can you imagine kids today? They're walking around with their candy cigarette, puffing on it, thinking they so cool, Nobody would let their kids do that these days.
I love the candy cigarettes.
I did too.
That's right. We had to pretend. You had to suck in like something was really there. It was just a stick of sugar is all it was, But it did give you that little puff of smoke when you took that first one. That sugar that was on it would kind of blow off of there, and it looked like, you're actually smoking a cigarette. And the other thing, back in the day, it just reminds me because, we all know where our kids are pretty much at any given time anymore between 360 and cell phones, texting back and forth. We know where everybody is. But, back in the day, they had that PSA that would come on the TV, and at 10 o'clock, it always came on at 10 o'clock. I don't know if y'all saw it. We saw it at my house. And it would say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? And it was some, man's low voice. Literally had to do a PSA to remind our parents, hey, have you checked on your kids lately? Do you know where they are? Are they safe? What are your kids doing? Had to have a reminder. It's bedtime. Are your kids home?
You got parents going, wait, honey.
Yeah,
wait, are the kids home? Are they home?
Where is she today? Yeah. I remember that PSA. That was awesome. I forgot about that.
Oh my gosh, yes, they had that one, and we just all kinds of stuff that people had to be reminded of. Don't start forest fires. Don't Here's your brain on drugs. You had the egg in the frying pan. Here's your brain on drugs. Don't do drugs. Like we're going to be offered drugs around every corner, everywhere we went. You know, somebody's going to be there trying to get us to smoke something or take something. Or I remember in elementary school, my elementary school, we had a parent night where you had to go with your parents, and the police came in, and they came in and lit marijuana and walked down the aisles with it so parents would know what it smelled like. So in case your kid was smoking, you would know what it smelled like so you could be aware of what they were doing. Yeah, that was in elementary school.
Wow.
I'm just telling you. I don't know.
Gen Xers were rebellious.
Well, we're probably still rebellious. I know I am. I don't like being told what to do because I'm going to do it twice and take pictures if you tell me what to do. Now, if you ask me to do something, see, it's all in how it comes across, you know.
That's
we
right.
just
That's right.
we don't like to be told.
I'm like, I will bend over backwards to do something for you if you ask me to do it. But tell me to do it, and immediately my back gets up. I'm like, yeah, don't tell me what to do. And I think a lot of that is because of the way we were raised. We were raised to be independent, self-sufficient women. Yeah. And, for me, I always wondered, Lord, you made me such an independent person. What does that look like for me? And why am I like that? And then my son came along. And I was like, get back, because this child, love him dearly, but he really would, I'm not lying, he literally would have walked on top of me and then waved goodbye as he went on by. Because he's just that strong-willed when he was little. I mean, if he'd have been first, there probably wouldn't have been a second and a third.
See, it takes a strong woman to raise strong-willed kids. And we're going to share a couple stories about our kids. This is the Southern Route on TNCRadio.LIVE. We'll be right back.
Catch Landline Now every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, along with an encore presentation weekdays at noon, right here on TNCRadio.LIVE.
Hope Savara here. Tune in every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNCRadio.LIVE for my new show, The Driver Life Podcast. From your feet to the food you eat, from cellular health to how your cell phone affects your health, from how you move to improving your sleep. I believe it's the small, simple changes that lead to the big results in your life so that you can feel good again. We cover it all here on the Driver Life Podcast. Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern on TNCRadio.LIVE.
Put it in reverse gear for the Memory Makers Thursdays at 8, 7 Central on TNCRadio.LIVE.
Hey guys, we're back here on TNCRadio.LIVE on the Southern Route. I'm your host, Shannon Courier. We are back with Julie Dillon and Dana Karnowski. We were just getting into talking about strong-willed kids, and I'm sure strong-willed kids come from strong-willed parents. So, Julie, I know your kids. You've got 3 beautiful kids, 2 girls and a boy. I've known all of them just about since they were born. Maybe not Tori. But Jordan has probably been your strongest willed child. He definitely walks to his own beat, and he is a musician, so that actually goes very well. He sings and he plays instruments, and he's just an adorable young man, beautiful blonde hair, all 3 of your kids. But he's definitely walking to the beat of his own drum.
He is, most definitely. He has been strong-willed since the day he came from the womb. It's always been something. Kindergarten, he was dumping his glue out in the toilet so he could fill his glue bottle back up, and got it all over the seat, and the teacher came and sat in it. and I got called to the principal's office for that. And
is that how that original prank got started? Was from Jordan putting glue or something on the toilet seat? Is that how that got started?
I don't know, and then he got that he was going by and he thought it'd be funny to take the pin out of the fire extinguisher. So the next kid that went behind him was acting like he was going to squeeze it, and it went everywhere.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just something all the time. Or I think he was in 5th grade when he decided to clean out from under his fingernails during class with the teacher sitting right beside him, and he got his pocket knife out. Well, that's not allowed to be had in public. You can't have that in school, and got suspended for that one. I mean, it's just something all the time. It's never a dull moment.
Well, it sounds like you raise an independent son, but you got 2 independent daughters too.
Yeah, I do. They definitely take after their mom on that note. But all in all, Tori's went to school and now is a mom of 3 kids and choosing to stay home with them right now. And she's actually 30. It's hard to believe I have a 30-year-old. And then my youngest, Sarah, she's 22. And she's doing her own thing and living her life and has been out of the house since she was 19.
Yeah, so Gen X mom raised some Gen X could-be children.
Jordan should have been a hippie 60s child. That's
true. He totally should have been. He's got the long hair. He's got tattoos. He's got the ear things. He's definitely out there he should be at Woodstock somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, Dana, you got some great kids too. You've got a beautiful young lady who is at college at University of Tennessee, and you have 2. Let me think of a word to describe your boys. Mischievous twin boys.
Twin boys. Yeah, when they were younger, I used to say, I have identical twins, and what one doesn't think of, the other one does. And all I can think about is, when I was growing up and pushing the envelope and being rebellious, my good old Southern mother used to say, I hope when you grow up you have a child that's twice as bad as you are. And I look back on it now and say, wow, God really has a sense of humor and gave me twins. And I'm getting it back twofold. And so, I'm really, really blessed. They've been 3 wonderful kids, but the boys, they do keep me on my toes day in and day out. One of them.
Ferris Bueller for one of your kids. I'm just saying.
I've got Ferris Bueller. I mean, he's a charmer. He's got all the teachers charmed, and they think that he can do no wrong. And I get calls that the principals will be calling and laughing about what he's done. In the 6th grade, he started his own business. He's very much an entrepreneur. The boys are musicians too, but the one he decided to start his own business at school, and this was back in the 6th grade. They're 18 now, but in the 6th grade, they were selling the little fidget spinners in the stores. The little thing you hold between your finger and your thumb and you spin it around. I mean, yeah. I don't know, but he had this great opportunity. He was he decided to purchase an inventory, and he took it to school, and he would rent them to the other students. Well, first of all, I was like, what kinds of kids have, this kind of income at school? But
discretionary income in 6th grade.
Right. But anyway, apparently it was a good business for him. He made hundreds of dollars, okay? But he would rent them to students for the first part of the day for $5. And then if you didn't have $5, you could rent it during lunch, the 20-minute lunch. You could rent it for $1, or you could rent it in the afternoon. And then, all these kids had fidget spinners all over the school. It was starting to get real annoying for the teacher, but because my Ferris Bueller was in with all the teachers, he would sit up and listen to them talk and be right in the middle of everything. And so he found out that they were going to ban these fidget spinners. Well, being the entrepreneur, he immediately goes to school, finds some poor unsuspecting other goofy sixth grader and says, you know what, this is a lucrative business. I've made hundreds of dollars. I like to sell you my business and all my inventory. And he sold his business for $35. Okay. And then the next day they banned him from school. Anyway.
That was pretty brilliant, if you ask me.
I mean, I could go on and on, but they've all of them have unique personalities. I'm very lucky, but one thing I hope is that I've taught them to also be independent, to try to figure things out on their own. And I think that comes from being a Gen Xer, just trying to, having to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. I mean, we did. We had a lot of time on our own. We weren't coddled and we weren't supervised 24/7. Nobody was there entertaining us. We had to get creative, find something fun to do. We were out in the neighborhood with the kids, out in the woods looking for something to do. Or, gosh, we used to play softball, and I played softball, but later in the evening, the adults would play softball, and all of us kids are hanging around looking for something to do. I mean, we're making up our own games. We played cup ball, which was literally, they used to serve, a water or soda or whatever in these little paper cups, and we'd squish them down, and we'd play like baseball. It was called cup ball, and you used your hand and you hit it and you ran to the bases. It was called cup ball. I mean, you just made up your own games along the way. You found things. I think we were able to use more of our creativity, our own minds, to come up with things to entertain us along the way. And we just kind of became resilient and dependent on ourselves and confident that we could do anything we wanted to do. I mean, there's pretty much nothing that, you can't say you can't do that, because you're like, well, sure, I can do that, and I'm independent still to this day. If I need to go to Walmart at 9:30, I'm going to Walmart at 9:30, and I'm not worried about, which I probably should be in today's world, but I'm not worried about somebody kidnapping me or whatever, because I'm just telling you, you're going to get me in the car and I'm going to fight. I am going to fight. You're not taking me. I'm fighting to the death. I'm going to bite, kick, scream, whatever I got to do, but you're not taking me.
I don't know. I would say that if someone took me, I probably wouldn't. I mean, I probably, if I had to, I'd fight. But basically, I would. My kidnappers would bring me back, because I'd just talk them to death, and then I'd say, "Okay, no, too much. Taking her back. Refund."
Oh, man. When Shannon was talking, all I could picture was this big old thing, like Medea just busting out, coming out.
That's right. I'm just telling you. I got too much fight in me for that. It's not going to go down pretty for me. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to jump over and hear from our sponsors, but we'll be right back here on TNCRadio.LIVE on the Southern Route with Julie Dillon and Dana Karnowski. We'll be right back.
Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, is boosting the image of the industry by telling the story of trucking, and your story can be part of it. Upload a photo, tell us what you love about trucking, or send us a story about a good deed or charitable act in trucking. Be sure to follow us on social media and contact us through truckingmovesamerica.com. That's truckingmovesamerica.com.
Join Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time for Women Road Warriors on your driver navigation station, TNCRadio.LIVE.
Hey guys, we're back for our final session here on the Southern Route on TNCRadio.LIVE. I'm here with my friends Julie Dillon and Dana Karnowski, and we'll be talking a little bit about Gen X and what that looks like and how independent we are. And, we've seen a lot in our years. One of the things that just came to mind was actually the Y2K scare that we had, where Were you all preppers when they announced Y2K and oh my gosh, like the whole world was going to shut down, no computers were going to work? Were you all preppers or did you go,
In between, I had my bathtub full of water.
You did?
I had my bathtub full, just, but I didn't have like 5,000 cans of whatever, just a few things. But I mean, I remember people that we both knew that they actually dug a hole, cut out a hole in their wall and dug out part of their basement and had the whole thing filled with stuff just in case.
I do remember that.
No, I can't remember, but I don't think that, just knowing me, I don't think I was a prepper. No, I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl all the time, every day. I don't see that I was probably different that day either. I remember we sat around waiting, thinking I was pregnant at the time. And I remember we were sitting around thinking, is this the end of the world? But then when it wasn't, I think I just went to bed.
Yeah, when midnight hit, nothing happened. I was like, but we didn't put any water aside. We didn't do anything. We literally did nothing different.
I don't think I did anything different.
Well, the ironic part about the whole bathtub full of water thing is we did that, and now we look back, it's like, there's no way I'd be drinking my bathtub water at this point. That water's nasty.
Surely you washed your bathtub before you filled it up, because then it was just clean water.
I just mean in general, if I went in my bathroom right now and filled my tub up, I wouldn't be wanting to drink that water.
Well, no, but if it's all you had, you would.
Yeah, at least I wouldn't die if I drank it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But now they make these, we've come a long way, baby. They talking about cigarettes earlier.
Yeah.
They make these little things that you can buy that you just put in a cup, put your water in and it filters everything out. You could go out and drink pond water. It would take all the stuff out.
That's true.
You could drink it. Yeah, it's for hikers.
Campers use that stuff. Yeah. Campers and hikers use that stuff. Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you how much things have changed and all that we've seen in our lifetime.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking earlier that growing up when we did and the way we did has made it so much easier to accommodate and acclimate to all the changes that we've seen over the past 50 odd years or so. Think about it, ladies. We've seen personal computers. Those weren't a thing then. We still had rotary, and if we were lucky, push button phones. But yet we've seen not only cell phones, but smartphones. We've seen video chatting and Zoom calls like we're doing now, where that was not even heard of. I mean, we thought it was cool when we got color TV. I can still remember my grandparents having a black and white, and now look what that looks like. And yet we're not sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't know how to use that. I don't know how to do this. We're in there in the mix, staying relevant and growing and learning right along with everyone else. And I think that says a lot for how we were raised and when we were raised.
I think it definitely does. I mean, and it doesn't seem like we're going to be stopping anytime soon, and we still keep learning. We don't stop. We're very resilient.
We are, and I think, we're also very determined people. And just even women, we saw a lot change for women growing up. Just a generation before, parents didn't work. The mom didn't work. Mom was at home. And my mom stayed at home with me for a little bit when I was young. But then, I was just a very outgoing child, and I wanted to go to school, which was, kindergarten at the time. And so mom went back to work. And so we saw moms that were independent, moms that were, they did the bring home the bacon fried up in a pan. We saw women really move into a new role from where they had been before. And so we saw that independence. We saw women taking care of themselves. And, my mom taught me to be a very independent woman and, do things for yourself and depend on yourself, because that's, you should be ready for anything. And so that's how I was raised. And I think that's made us the women that we are today and the moms that we are today, encouraging our kids to be independent and go their own route and think for themselves, and not just stand in a line and be cookie cutter people, because that's not who we are, and that's not how we grew up. And we have seen a lot, I remember the TV with, we had rabbit ears on our TV for many years, we had rabbit ears, and we've seen, we've gone from the records to tapes, 8-track tapes to cassette tapes to CDs to now, gosh, you don't need anything. Everything's just right here on your phone. What I can do on this laptop, I can do on my phone, so we have seen a lot, and we have not been afraid of any of it. We're ready to get out there and learn anything and everything that there is to learn. Nobody's gonna outshine us, that's for sure.
I've done a couple of funny things when you were talking about that your mom like brought home the bacon and fried it up in a pan. I was laughing thinking, I remember when my mom brought home the bacon and she cooked it in the microwave, and that was the first time we'd ever gotten a microwave, and it was like a big deal, and the thing was so huge it took up more room than the stove itself. But but I just remember my mom always saying, but it can cook bacon. I was like, okay. And then also I talking about doing all the things. I don't know about you all, but for me, I think too that because we have kind of been that generation to say, I can do it all, sometimes it is hard to have a work-life kind of balance, because we think we can just do everything.
And we can, but should we? That's the question. We can, but should we? We've talked about this at work before when we've been at an event or somewhere. Yes, I can carry that box across the floor by myself, but men, y'all could ask if I need help. I still want my door to be opened. I still want to be treated. I'm not this so independent that you can't open the door for me. I still want to be treated like a lady.
Yes. Independent and resilient doesn't mean that
Helpless.
we're not helpless, but we want to have someone come alongside us and help us. We're not helpless, but we like to be helped.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, like you said, balance.
I think it is a balance, but I think, like you said, we've talked about this before, where, when our parents were our age or when our grandparents were our age, they were old, and now we're like, this 51 is not old. 52 is not old. It's actually very young. And 70 is young. That, the closer you get to it, the younger it gets. And I'm just one of these people where I enjoy learning new things, and I enjoy expanding my knowledge, and it's, my life is half over. Our lives are more than half over, and I've got stuff to do. And I'm not going to be shown up by this younger generation. I say that when I go line dancing and they bust out this dance called the church clap that I need oxygen for after I get done with it, that the young people brought in. But I'll be darned, I'm gonna dance that whole dance, even though I can't breathe at the end of it. But they're not gonna show me up on that dance floor. I go dance every Thursday night, and I think I love the interaction between the younger generation and the older generation, from us to our older generation, and from us down to the younger generation. And I think we have a lot to offer, just like the older generation has and still has a lot to offer us. And, you need to listen when people that are older than you talk, because there's wisdom in the years. And so, I enjoy talking to the younger generation and sharing and just laughing about the differences. How you got a paper to write? Well, Google it. Oh my gosh. Google for us was like A through Z encyclopedias, and you had them on the floor and you're trying to figure out, You know, you had to go check out a book in order to write a paper.
Library.
Oh my gosh, you know, Dewey Decimal System. Oh my gosh, what is that? You know, nobody knows what that is. You just Google it. And so, but like you say, Julie, we're keeping up with it all. You know, we're hanging right there with it, and we're, you know, we use our phones and we use our computers and we use Google and we use our laptop and we use, you know, any electronic things. We know how to do it. We're hanging. You can't keep us down.
That's right, sister.
Well, y'all, it is the end of the hour, and it has gone way too fast. We need to plan us another girls' weekend so we can get together and just sit around and reminisce some more and have us a glass of wine and do what Gen X women do, go listen to our 80s music.
Oh, I would love that.
Go listen to some of that Van Halen, and I don't know, maybe we'll listen to your Milli Vanilli, Dana.
Hey, stop messing on me, my Milli Vanilli, okay?
Hey, we can be Milli Vanilli because we can lip sync.
That's right,
Yeah.
girl. You know
We
it's
get to
true.
be Milli
Yeah.
Vanilli now.
Before we start getting people thinking that I was like a big Milli Vanilli fan, it was the only concert my parents would let me go to, okay? I mean, I can't remember if I was a senior or if it was the year after I graduated, but it was my very first concert. Boy, I feel gypped now because that wasn't even a real concert. Come on.
That's so true.
All right,
You
so
went to a lip sync.
let's go
Oh,
to some
Sarah.
real concerts.
Well, you know, my parents almost got divorced because I went to see Loverboy. So, you know, Mom said yes, Dad said no, and it was a big fight, and I went. So, you know, we just saw Walker Hayes together. We did our Fancy Light concert. So maybe we'll find another fun concert to go to as well.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
let's do it.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
Well, y'all,
Go
thanks
Gen
for
X
joining me
girls.
today. That's right. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you guys taking your time and spending some memories with me and sharing with my audience. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks.
It was so fun. I can't wait. Hope we can do it again sometime.
Let's do it.
We will definitely do it again. Guys, you all, we are closing out for tonight. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week. Be safe, share a smile, share a handshake, meet a new friend out there, say something kind to somebody, make somebody's day. And we'll see you next week on TNCRadio.LIVE here on the Southern Route.
Do you have the TNCRadio.LIVE app? It's free and easy to download. Just go to app.tncradio.live, Google Play, or the App Store. Get access to live streaming radio developed by drivers for drivers. Download the TNCRadio.LIVE app today.
Don't forget, you can hear all of our TNC Radio primetime shows again on our podcasts. Just go to tncradio.live/podcasts or search for TNCRadio.live wherever you listen to podcasts.